Hi, I'm Whitney Stevens.
And I'm Yo-Yo Blackfire.
And this is Unstable.
So, today's episode, let's start off with the title of the episode, okay?
Okay.
Today's episode is called I've Never Tried It Before, but I'll Give It a Shot. and it's about first times.
Do you want me to explain where that
Why
came
don't you
from?
tell people where I got this title
Yes.
from?
If you don't know me, I may or may not be what would
Alcoholic.
You oh, well, I was gonna come up with a different word, but I guess
No, we're honest here on the pod.
we will go with alcoholic.
If there's one thing we learned from the first season, it's that we are much happier with the product we produce when we are
most open and honest,
unabashed and explicit about our truths. So you're an alcoholic.
and you're a sociopath.
Well, we're workshopping.
Okay, well, if you get a title, seems fair.
Okay, so that is something that Whitney says like all the time at the bar. Like people will be like, "Hey, can I buy you a shot?" And she'll be like, "Oh, a shot. I've never tried it before, but I'll give it a shot."
No, I've never had one before, but I'll give it a shot. And I work shot into it because they're buying me a shot. Yeah. And it is 100% always worked.
It works every time. And they're always like, "Oh my god, really?"
Yeah.
And I'm like, she's not even looking directly at you,
and
so I don't think it's
all
true.
my friends around me are like, "This is such bullshit." Like,
I laugh every time.
She drinks more than anyone I've ever known.
Yeah, she had to guzzle 3 bottles of Tito's handmade vodka.
Just to come out.
Yeah.
Because of her social anxiety, yeah.
Speaking of Tito's handmade vodka and first times, this outfits, our Dumb and Dumber looks, were the first looks that we ever had made to go together.
Yes.
And we had them made for the first pageant we ever hosted together, which was the Mixed Tito's 2022 pageant. Congratulations to our sister and very, very first crowned winner, Mixed Tito's Pride 2022, Tay the Diamond. Oh, Tay the Mornay, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I was gonna say that this is the first time we ever did a number together, but that's not true. Because
what number did we do?
Because
you said this earlier, and
remember we hosted Shades of Grey for Grey Matter a couple years back before the pandemic.
Like the S&M.
We did S&M, Britney and Rihanna. We did that duet together.
This goes back to me being an alcoholic because I do not remember.
It was probably about as good as any other number we've ever done together. So nobody liked it, but we thought it was great.
Heard.
But yeah, we did this number and we did I Can't Do It Alone. From Chicago, which was super underappreciated. I'm just gonna throw that out here.
I mean,
right
most
now.
of our numbers are.
But this is also our very first time filming in our at-home studio.
So bear with us.
So bear with us if there's some audio issues. Surprise, surprise. If there's, you might hear some background noise. There's a new person laughing behind the camera. We're so grateful to Scotty Kirby. But we have our son Tayshawn behind the camera. So if you hear a nincompoop laughing behind the camera, that's him.
Yeah.
Very bad. But I thought this would be a really fun episode to start off the new season with. Because first times is something that is a very broad topic. And there's a lot of interesting things that I don't even know necessarily about myself until I really thought about it.
Right.
Nonetheless about each other.
I wrote them down, but I honestly probably will have to read.
This is the first time that we actually prepared for an episode fully. Like,
yeah, we'll see how
we
that
have
goes.
we had printouts and we all took notes and stuff. So I got a list of first times from the internet, and we are gonna go through and figure them out. Okay.
All right, so let's do this.
Okay.
I'm gonna call us out for a second because we do have a cue card of all these questions, but I am blinder than shit. I was like, if you can see those, we could do this, but literally all I see is this page of mumble.
That's okay, I got this.
So you're in charge of that part.
Absolutely. Okay, so the first thing we're gonna do is, what is the first app that you check in the morning?
Okay. So here's the thing, I have severe anxiety, we've talked about this before. So a lot of times I open my apps and—
Wait.
What?
I actually just wanted to interrupt you because I did that a lot in the first season.
Oh my god.
But, no, actually, before I find out what app, I just want to know, is the first thing you do in the morning checking your phone?
Yes.
Okay, I hate to say yes too, but it's true.
I hate that too, but yeah.
Actually, I'm gonna be vulnerable here on the pod.
Okay.
I've never done it before, but
Let's do it.
I'll give it a shot. Boom!
Good job.
The first thing I do in the morning is check my phone if I don't tend to my boner. Okay.
Actually,
Same.
same.
Woo!
Same.
All right.
It depends on like how long.
It depends on how throbbing it is.
If the morning,
It really depends.
If the morning wood is like really
If it's, like,
pulsating, knock knock,
Who's there?
Aunt Grandma.
Exactly.
Yeah, then I 100% will just. But I'm still gonna have to look at my phone because I'm gonna have to like pull up something.
Twitter or my own nudes.
Mostly my freak Twitter. Yeah.
Okay.
To get off.
So
But
anyways, back
in
on
that
track.
case, I will ignore the notifications and go right.
So sometimes
to
the first app that you check in the morning is your Twitter.
yeah.
Is
actually.
it typically, or would you? What's normally the first app that you check in the morning?
I wouldn't say typically. I guess it's about half and half, I suppose. I want to see what new content was posted and the people that I follow, but
I think it just depends on if I wake up to like notifications or text messages or like what's going on my phone when I wake up.
like sometimes I get very anxious and kind of irritable if there's like a lot of notifications.
Okay. I thought we weren't gonna lie. You said sometimes you get anxious and irritable, and we all
like,
know that it's consistent.
There's varying levels though. Like
You're
sometimes
right.
when there's like a bunch of messages from specific groups or people, I'm like, I don't want to deal with this. It's way too early, and then I start getting anxiety, and I don't want to look, and then I'm doing like the thing where you like pull down the notifications and you try to see enough of the message to like know if it's okay or not,
Right.
without having to like read it and have them know.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a thing all the time.
Okay, that's very, very
Sorry
relatable.
for those people that message me and then I'm obviously ignoring you. It's a thing.
What is the first bone you've broken?
First, I think it was a finger in a car door.
Oh, I don't ever want to do that. I will say, when I was a kid, we had one of those like, you know the vans with the sliding door on the one side that you always
bitch.
have. I once accidentally slammed my mom's finger in this like, it was an accident.
It wasn't.
Yes.
No, I'm kidding. Yes. My car, yeah, someone slammed my finger, like I think it was like my ring finger in a car door. And there's nothing you can do because like they're like, well, we just like put it in this little brace and you just have to deal with it. It was bad.
I'm a little scared to say this on record because I feel like I'm jinxing myself,
Oh,
but I've
no.
never broken a bone. I know.
Well,
I know. Cut to me tonight.
Right. Breaking a boner. I mean a bone.
Oh, baby, I've broken a few things. Anyways. What is the first foreign country you've ever visited?
Canada, because I lived in Seattle, and so as soon as I turned 19, my bitch ass was driving from my little ass hometown of 3,000 people all the way up to Seattle, picking up my best friend, driving to the Canadian border, getting across, renting a hotel room, getting drunk at bars and partying at gay clubs because it was like the most freeing experience of my life because I was like, bitch, I finally get to be around a bunch of gay people and I get to be drunk. Cut to me now. Here I am.
Okay, question. In Washington, did you get your license at 16 or was it 18?
16.
Okay, just curious, because I know some places are different. Are you allowed in Canada still?
No.
No, that was a serious question because I know that they're actually really, really strict about
No,
people
I
with,
can't
like,
go to Canada
things on their
for
record.
like 10 years.
Still 10
I had
years
a
or 10
DUI
years
from my DUI. I had a DUI.
So we're probably not that, I mean, we're maybe, almost halfway?
I haven't done the math. Math's not my
I'm
subject.
Jewish, that's my job.
But yeah, like Canada's beautiful though. I
really want to go.
Yeah.
The first foreign country I ever visited when I was 16 years old, Ariel's family took me with them over the summer. We went to Israel and Ireland for a month. We were in Israel for 3 weeks and we were in Ireland for a week. But we stopped in Paris as a layover. So I guess, does that count or do I count Israel because like I was in Israel? I only like laid over.
I feel like that's up to you what you count.
Okay, so that's my answer. I don't really know what my first like Instagram, Twitter, or Facebook post was, and I did not have the energy to look it up. But I'm sure it was cringy.
I know what my first Facebook post was. Honestly, I do.
Okay, what was it?
So like I'm older than you.
No.
I am older than you, and I was like one of the ones that was converted over to Facebook from MySpace. And I remember one of my very first posts on Facebook was a selfie of me with my like overly gelled spiky hair and like a vest. Probably I wore a vest and suspenders during that time.
We will find. So part of the new season is that we're gonna try to utilize our Patreon a lot more. So we will find. Let's find our posts and let's put them on Patreon.
Okay.
That'll be really fun for
And
them.
our first Instagram post.
I can definitely find my first Instagram post.
On both our boy page and...
I only
drag
have
page.
one.
Oh, well, I have both.
I only have one.
Well,
Although I will say that we've been having a lot of conversations, and I do need to separate Twitters.
absolutely.
I don't really use Twitter a lot, but I do need to separate them because I was told feverishly by some friends that I can't get cast on Drag Race if I'm a sex worker, which also isn't going to change, so like, I guess it's just not for me, but we're going to try.
Well,
And that's fine. My first makeup item, I want to say it was probably lipstick because I've always been very queer and I've always loved the idea of having a lip.
really?
I think it was probably lip, and it obviously probably wasn't mine, but I think that the first makeup, unless we're counting glitter, which I don't think counts, it was for sure. Because I never wore makeup until I did drag, and I don't wear makeup out of drag.
Oh, Lord.
Do I?
No, I'm just...
No, I don't.
That doesn't... You know, I'm completely the opposite. I look like a, what would you... A raging lesbian? No.
Yes. That
so
part.
my first makeup item was definitely my mom's foundation in high school. I had extremely bad acne, like horribly bad acne, and I was super self-conscious about it. So I would like sneak into her bathroom and like use her foundation and try to cover it up because it was like, when I say, I'm not even being like overly like I was covered. I was like the one that was like covered from the entire face. And I tried to like cover it up. That was definitely my first makeup item, and then it just kind of went from there.
It was a swift plummet up.
Into my 20s, when I started with like Katy Perry eyelashes, and I wouldn't.
Oh my god!
I wouldn't leave the house without a full face of makeup on and eyeshadow.
You still typically don't want to leave the house without makeup on, but you're a lot better. You're a lot better about it now.
Now I just want to put an eyebrow on so I don't look like
Godzilla.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I'm missing half a brow now. It's a commitment.
Do you remember your first airplane ride?
I do. It was to Los Angeles for Disneyland. It was my first like major family vacation.
Oh, another first.
Yeah. And it was like a scary landing. I remember that. But this is also we got there and we were going to Disneyland. We went to this pancake house and there was a shooting right outside of it and we had to all get under our tables. And mind you, I'm from a town at that time of 500 people, so like this was completely out of...
Okay, not to cut you off, but I happen to know that when you were younger, you visited California.
I was getting to that part.
Is this the same trip?
Yeah,
Is it the same trip?
I was getting
Okay.
Yeah.
You tell the story then.
So then there was that, like there was a shooting right outside this freaking IHOP or whatever it was. Because we were from a small town, IHOP was probably like going out big time. And then that same trip,
This is really good.
We're driving
This
down.
is epic and iconic.
We're driving down the freeway in LA, and all of a sudden, like, there's no cars around us. It's us driving completely solo, and we're like, what is happening here? Because we've been dealing with LA traffic the whole time, and we have no idea like how that works.
So exciting.
It turns out we were on the freeway right behind O.J. Simpson in his
Bronco!
and being followed in his slowest police chase ever. So like we had no idea, and we're like all the exits were closed, so we couldn't get off because they had closed all the exits off, and no one was on the freeway except us, and apparently O.J. Simpson was in front of us.
I love that story. That's so funny. I was like, wait a minute, is this the same story?
Yeah, that's it. You can't make that shit up.
I don't remember my first airplane ride, but I know that when I was 3 years old and we moved from Florida, my mother and my, I think, aunt flew with me and my siblings, and my dad and uncle drove the U-Haul or whatever from Florida. So that is my first airplane ride, I think.
And that ages our airplane rides. Because mine was like in what?
Yours was
96,
95 or 6. 94, I think it was 94, the Bronco thing.
It's one of those.
Literally,
years.
you rode a plane before I was born.
Well,
and that's fine. That's okay.
Yeah, it's okay.
That's okay.
I'm fine with it.
Yeah. Here we are sitting on a toilet in a loft.
You're on a
upstairs.
toilet.
You're right. You're right. Okay, so do you remember the first time you ever got like in serious trouble at school?
Yes. So my dad was a teacher as I grew up. Like, he was in the high school, I was in the elementary school at the time. But in 4th grade, I was absolutely cheating off somebody's math, like daily, because I hated math, not because I couldn't do it.
Cut to a few minutes earlier in this episode when you couldn't think about math at all.
Well, there's that. And I got caught. And
You got in trouble?
No, see, the teacher, because it was such a small town, was like covered for me. She's like, I'm not going to tell your dad. But it finally came out, and then he was even more pissed. But he wasn't as pissed at me. He was pissed at the teacher.
That is very you.
Tell him.
You are
Yeah.
so forgiving if you're just upfront.
Well,
Okay, the first time I think, I didn't get in trouble for this, but when I was in Florida still in like preschool, I used to march around the Jewish day school I went to singing Oh When the Saints, which is not a Jewish song.
okay.
And like I would like rally the kids and they'd be like marching behind me.
You
like,
just did this last night at the bar.
I love it. I love it. But I don't think I necessarily got in trouble for that. So like the first time I remember having trouble at school, I was in 3rd grade and I was going to the Hebrew Academy here in Phoenix.
Okay.
And we had an Israeli teacher for Hebrew, and he used to, like literally, like he was so shitty, he used to make a girl sit under a desk in the back of the room because she wasn't Jewish enough to be in the class.
What?
And like one time he would like make kids swear on the Bible and like all this stuff. So one time he tried to come for me, and I literally stood up from my desk. I said, "You're crazy, and my dad says I don't have to listen to you." And I walked out of the room and went to the principal's office. And he tried to grab my arm, and I broke his wrist.
Oh, wow.
So that was my first time getting in trouble.
That took a turn really fast, but okay.
Yeah.
Alright.
So I've always been me still always
I've
been me.
Never broken a teacher's wrist.
No, but you've done something to someone. Let's not get into that.
Came later in life. My dad did teach me how to fight like a bully in school, but like I already knew I wasn't gonna get in trouble because he already like had backed me 100%. He was like, I was like in 4th grade, and he was like, well, here's what you do. You need to like plant your feet, take a step back, put all your weight into it, and just blast this kid into a bush. I did that.
My dad always said, if someone starts something, you finish it.
Yeah, that's pretty much
Period.
what I thought too. Here we are.
Do you remember your first, well, I'm gonna say boyfriend or girlfriend, but I feel like it was boyfriend for you, right?
No.
Did you have a girlfriend first?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Who was your first person?
I had multiple girlfriends before I ever had a boyfriend.
Okay, who was your first girlfriend? First relationship or
Well,
whatever?
I can go all the way back. Like the first girl that I was like infatuated with, like kindergarten, where we rode the bus.
Was that your
together.
first kiss?
No.
Because my first kiss was before we moved from Florida. I had like a little girlfriend, and like I guess I don't know that counts. I guess technically, but like it was known. Like our families like were like, oh, you guys are like together. It's so cute. And like we literally like kissed on the lips like before we moved.
Yeah. So like I had my little kindergarten girlfriend and we rode the bus together. But like later in life, like in middle school, I had like long-term like girlfriends.
Okay, what about boyfriend?
I never had a boyfriend until after high school.
I still haven't had my first boyfriend.
That part.
But that's all we're gonna say about that.
Why is that all we're gonna say about that?
Because I
I feel like there's more to discuss there.
There was one boy that I would have liked to be my boyfriend.
Okay.
Obviously, we're not gonna say his name because it's embarrassing, but
We're not
anyone who
doing
knows
that,
us
no.
knows. And there is a boy that I currently have like a little
my
crush
God.
on. I would kind of like to be my boyfriend. Look how upset she is.
If you're out there, this is not a reflection upon you. I love you.
No, she
but
really likes him
I'm
actually.
just
That's what
disgusted
that's
by
what
you.
upsets you even more, I think, is that you actually support it.
Do I? Yeah, no, maybe.
Anyways,
TBD.
okay. Tell me about your first car.
My my first car. I was a spoiled brat.
Wait, let's try it again.
My parents bought me my first car before I could drive. First, like, my parents gave me a car they already had, which is this, like, Lexus. And I was like, ew, this is, like, for old people, and I didn't want it. And so they took me and bought me a Mustang that I wanted before I was even able to drive. And it either sat in the driveway or my dad drove it for, like, the first year. Within 6 months of getting my license, I lived in a beach town. I got it stuck on the beach, blew out the engine. They replaced the engine. It took like 6 months. They spent a fortune on getting it fixed, gave it back to me. They proceeded to buy me like a Saab convertible and a Volvo after that. Like, it's kind of embarrassing, but
So freaking embarrassing.
I did not know better at the time. I am not like that at all anymore.
I mean, it wasn't the first car that I owned, but I remember in 2006, my parents bought a blue Chevy HHR,
Okay.
and my dad, I was 10 years old at the time, and my dad, I was really into it, and my dad was like, oh, sure, if we still have this car,
It'll be your car.
well, it'll be your car. Cut to me getting my license and him not giving it to me, and I was so pissed. But I bought a car from a friend. I don't remember what it was, so I don't. But I mean, I always considered that my like first car because I was so attached to it. Do you remember your first celebrity crush?
Oh, God.
I do.
Yeah,
So
I know.
I'm gonna go
mine
first.
was.
I'm gonna go first.
Okay.
Miley Cyrus,
Tay Diggs.
Hannah Montana. By the way, still valid. Oh, I take it back. Emma Watson from Harry Potter. Because we have the same birthday.
Okay.
I was like, oh, we're meant to be. But Miley Cyrus, I think, so I remember, this might get into the next one even though it's a little out of order, but
Oh no. Oh yeah.
I remember when I first started masturbating and like coming,
Okay.
I thought that like in life you would only produce so much sperm. So I thought I should like save it for Miley Cyrus to have my kids. That's my embarrassing moment of the night. And if I ever meet Miley Cyrus, I hope she never fucking hears
Well,
that.
luckily she's going to file a restraining order right now.
Or she's gonna be super into it because she's
Oh
a
my
freaky,
God.
kinky,
Well,
sexy bitch.
maybe.
I'd hook up with Miley Cyrus. Would
Okay.
you not hook up with Miley Cyrus?
I would just to say I hooked up with Miley Cyrus.
She's fucking hot.
I probably wouldn't.
I love
before,
her.
But no.
God, that's so funny. Do you remember your first cell phone?
Yes.
Let's hear it.
It's something that's like a relic to you, I'm sure. It was like a Nokia, you pulled up the antenna, like it had the little like no color screen, like
My first phone was like a Nokia brick phone with T9 and all that stuff, for sure. But also it was like the 2000s.
well, mine was the 2000s. Early 2000s.
Mine was
my
probably
first
like
cell
mid
phone.
to late 2000s.
Okay, well, you were deprived.
We just talked about our first kiss, or I talked about my first kiss. Who was your first? When was your first? Do you remember?
My first kiss with a female was in middle school, 6th or 7th grade. My first kiss with a boy was probably like 17.
I don't even know about that one, but I know where my first kiss was, so whatever. What about okay, this one's interesting. Your first friend in college.
First friend in college. Oh, yes. Oh, this poor girl that I was cheating off of. Is this like, maybe this is a running theme of mine that I didn't really realize. Oh, this poor girl in like economics class, I definitely like made friends with her because I never wanted to go to class because it was so fucking boring. I went to this community college in a smaller town and like it was mostly like
A smaller town than you lived in?
for having a college. Like for having a college it was a smaller college. Does that make sense? Anyways, in this town like there was a lot of like laid off like logging employees that were going back to school. So like I was going to school with like all these like 40 to 50-year-olds with like wheelie backpacks and it just annoyed the shit out of me. So I never wanted to go. But this one girl like took all the same classes as me and I would just cheat off her.
Wow. When I was
we could see why my college career went really far.
When I was 13 years old, I went to Scottsdale Community College because I've always been like, whatever, smart or something. And my dad was like, well, you could just go to college and get a degree and then become a doctor.
Very Jewish.
Yeah. And she was 21, maybe up to 23. She was young. She was skinny. She was white. She had blonde hair with some, I think she had some dark on the under part, like the half and half vibe. And this was obviously what I was 13, so like 2009 ish, adjacent. And she had tattoos and she worked at the casino. She always had like dozens of $100 bills from working the casino. And her name was Morgan, but she went by Captain Morgan.
Oh.
And I fucking loved her. She was fierce, and I'm pretty sure she copied off me in math in college.
Her.
When I was 13. I love her. If I still had her contact, I would fucking totally be friends with her. She was really cool.
Well, if you're out there, Captain Morgan.
Hi. Look at me now,
Daniel's looking for you, sweetie.
Do you know what your first fear was?
My first fear.
Mine's kind of dark. I think mine was just like at home. I think I feared my dad.
Oh.
But also I was afraid of the dark. I don't like spiders. Probably heights.
Snakes and spiders come to my right to the forefront. I've always had a fear of drowning. I remember always having reoccurring dreams of being trapped in a confined space with water. So that's like a thing, but which is weird because I really like to swim, but
don't want to drown.
I don't want to be trapped in a box of water.
It's crazy that a walrus likes the water.
Baby.
Do you remember your first heartbreak?
Yeah, who does not remember their first heartbreak?
Okay. What was your first piercing?
My ears.
Your ears?
I got my ears pierced in 5th grade. I remember I had to take out the garbage for a month and a half before I was allowed to have my ears pierced.
Okay. I think that my first piercing was I want to say it was my septum. And I still have it. It's tucked away right now.
That was your very first piercing?
Yeah. Ariel pierced my ears at some point, but I think it was well after my septum. I think my septum was my first piercing.
Okay.
What about your first tattoo?
You just love this. My first tattoo was my back one. That's I have several terrible tribal tattoos. My first one was my back.
We've gone over this. I am not the friend who has a problem with your tribal.
I mean, they're bad.
That's Tori.
They are bad. But
I don't care.
Right.
I just don't give a shit.
Well, you just don't care, period. That's
about you.
Yeah,
that's
that.
the point.
So my very first one, I have my tribal in my back, and my mom got her foot tattoo at the same time.
That's cute.
It was like a...
My first tattoo was my yin and yang, and it was just after my 18th birthday. I was literally still in high school, and I was super fucking excited to get that. What about your first pet? Did you have pets as a kid?
Yeah.
I didn't. We did not have pets as a kid, but for my 10th birthday, I want to say it was.
Okay.
I was given a little tiny, a little frog. It was it stayed in a fishbowl frog, one of those tiny tadpoles.
Your first pet was a frog.
It was like a tadpole, and then it became a frog. And his name was Chip. And when he died, I didn't notice at first until a few weeks later. I was wondering why I hadn't seen him in a few
When he was hardened.
No,
on your kitchen floor.
It gets worse. No, he was tiny. He stayed in a fishbowl the whole time.
Okay.
He was like a teeny tiny frog, and teeny tiny. His name was Chip, and I noticed after a few days I hadn't seen him, so I lifted up the rock in his tank, and his body had started disintegrating, so different pieces of it floated up at different times. And for some reason, I thought that the best thing to do was put him down the kitchen grinder. And so I put him in the kitchen sink, turned on the grinder, and cried. And I told that story to a friend recently. It was Tori. I told Tori that story a year or so ago. And we started laughing. We were like, what the fuck is wrong with me that I didn't just flush him down the toilet?
Well, I don't know. You wanted him to, I don't know.
I put him in the grinder.
I have nothing.
I ground up my already disintegrating dead pet.
Yeah, well, that's interesting. No, my first pet was not a frog. I always had dogs growing up from the time I was born. So
we
forever.
didn't. That was not a Jewish thing, I feel like.
You actually told me this, like...
Okay, I was joking a little bit about that, but like, yeah, it wasn't really a thing that religious Jews had pets.
Right.
Like,
something you had to take care of.
Which is actually funny because at the time of filming this, the Pope just came out with a statement about how having pets instead of children is selfish, and I kind of feel like that was like the Jewish philosophy. It was like, you had children. Okay. I instead of first sexual experience, I want to know, like, I guess for my first sexual experience was masturbating.
Well, yeah.
And I had, like, you remember those teeny tiny handheld, like, massagers you get from CVS?
No.
Well, I had one of those and I used it on my penis. And I wasn't coming yet, so, like, the first few times I had, like, that ghost sensation. And I think that I may have said
where it felt like you were coming, but nothing came out.
And then after, like, 2 times, I started, like, coming. Okay. And yeah.
After 2 times that same day, or like 2 different instances?
I don't know.
You like wore out the batteries in the first day you had it.
Yeah.
That sounds right. I remember like a friend being like, "You haven't like masturbated yet?" I'm like, "No, what do you mean?" And they like described it, and then I remember like being in my room that night and giving it a whirl, and it's been like time consuming ever since.
Wow.
It's been eating at my free time ever since 6th grade.
Okay.
Yeah.
What was your first thought today?
My first thought today. I have to wake up? I don't know.
My first thought was, we need to film.
That.
My first thought was, we need to film.
I was like, I just gotta do this. Yeah, that.
Okay, the next one says first time on a train. But when Tayshawn was reading
it
through it to prove for us, he thought it was first time running a train.
Right, or being run by a train. Who knows?
Well, that's the difference between the two.
Yeah, well.
Wow.
I've never actually done that.
I don't know if I've ever done that.
I mean, like lining up, but no.
No, like in the videos I like to watch.
I don't know what you like to watch.
Like in the Fraternity X videos where they're all standing around jacking off and they're lining up to fuck their friends.
One's ramming them in the ass, the other one's sucking a dick, and like so on and so
No, they're
forth.
all just taking turns fucking the one guy.
Oh, okay. Well, there's different ways to do it, I suppose.
That's embarrassing for me.
Yeah.
Oh my god, I'm actually kind of embarrassed about this one. And now I have to go on the internet and make sure it's taken off before this episode comes out. But your first YouTube video.
I've never had, like, my first
Look at me being embarrassed.
My first YouTube video is somebody recording me on drag.
When I was in high school, I used to sit in front of my little computer webcam and sing songs a cappella and post them on YouTube.
They're still there?
I don't have access to the account anymore. I need to figure out how to get them taken down because it's freaking embarrassing.
That's hilarious. What were you singing?
Like songs from Born This Way or something. Like I literally was like singing Scheisse a cappella. Like singing German a cappella. Fully vibing. Fully vibing.
Oh my god, we should look those up.
I'm kind of embarrassed about it.
I'm freaking embarrassed.
Okay. First book, I don't remember the first book I read. It was probably Dr. Seuss. But I was reading when I was like really, really young.
Same.
But I remember I read Harry Potter at a very young age. And that was notable because I remember sitting with my mom and she was reading to me after I had already read it. So I guess this isn't my whatever. This is notable book experience as a child.
Okay.
Because she read Dumbledore as Doubledore. And I laughed at her about it. She was like, Professor Albus Dumbledore.
Oh, well, Harry Potter was not something that was around when I was little. I was probably like...
When I was like young, the first 3 Harry Potter books were already out. I remember when the 4th one came out.
Interesting, yeah, no.
No?
My dad had me like reading classics like by 5th grade.
Wow.
Yeah.
Not same. First movie you remember watching?
I remember the first movie I cried at.
Okay, sure.
Free Willy.
That's cute.
So your biography?
Your autobiography.
Well.
First movie. I mean, as a kid, when I was marching around to "Oh When the Saints," it was because my favorite movie as a kid was this movie called Marvelous Musical Mansion.
Okay.
You've probably never seen it, but it was like this movie where like they went to go visit their uncle or something, and his house was kind of like magical and like did music and all this stuff.
I have no idea.
It's embarrassing for me. I already know the answer to this. The first person you talked to today? Oh,
You.
I was gonna say, I know the answer. It was probably me.
It's you.
You were probably the first person I texted today, but I think that Tayshawn was the first person that like was responding with me today.
Yeah, probably. I didn't wake up till like 10:30.
First concert. I have a good story for this, so can I
What
tell
was my
mine while
first
you think
concert?
about
Yeah.
it? Oh wait, my first concert was the Cheetah Girls,
Oh my
and it was when they went on tour without Raven after the second movie.
Okay.
Which, after Raven, like, I'm sorry, I still love the Cheetah Girls. Every Christmas I sing Cheetah-licious Christmas, it's fine. But they were on concert. Sometimes they had Hannah Montana. I saw it when they had Vanessa Hudgens and Jordan Pruitt. But the point was, my mom was visiting her family in DC, and I was in elementary school. And I remember, I got to ditch school. My parents let me ditch school for a week. They like
For a week?
Yeah, I got to go.
How long was this concert?
I got to go for a week.
Okay.
And I went to see the Cheetah Girls, and I got to fly by myself and go to the concert. That was super cool.
Wow.
Yeah.
No, mine's not that exciting. Mine was probably like some random country concert. That's not that
Yeah, but weren't
I
you
don't
like
know.
born in a
Like-
guitar case on a tour bus?
We're not.
But technically,
Not
yes.
doing that.
Kind of. You were kind of born in a guitar
My
case
dad was a
on
musician,
tour bus.
yes, but
Your
my
dad is a
concert
musician. Your dad is a musician
yes.
because I yodel because of your dad.
My dad is a musician, yes. But like concert, like intentionally going to a concert. I remember like going to like a small like casino concert in my hometown to listen to like some country.
Oh, that's a good one. First time you went to the casino? That's not even on the list.
Well, probably the same freaking time.
When I was like 18, I had friends who were like big gamblers, and we were going to Cali on a cute little runaway road trip. And in Palm Desert, where they have all the windmills, you can gamble at 18. And so they loved going to the casino so much that we literally went there just to do that.
Right.
And I'm more of a cards player, but whatever. Let's see. Your first fight? First time you got in a fight?
I told you, when I blasted that bully in
Oh.
the face into a bush in elementary school.
Does
After
that
my
mean-
dad taught me how to punch somebody.
Does that mean that mine is with the teacher whose wrist I broke?
I probably,
Probably.
yeah.
Okay.
Seems right.
Okay. What about, well, we've talked about our first time in drag. We've talked about our first jobs.
We have.
What about just me reading off of a list? Oh, the first time you ever got drunk.
Right after right after high school. I actually came down here with my sister who was living here at the time.
And does again now. Hi, sis.
Right. And was with my best friend, and we went on like a little trip after graduation, and I got drunk off like one margarita.
Wow.
Yeah.
Now it takes 12.
Now 12
Oh,
to start with, yeah.
yeah. What is the first thing you do when you get home?
Take off my shoes.
That is the first thing I always try to do. I actually, I listened to Bob and Monet's podcast, Sibling Rivalry, and they really changed my perspective because, like, I agree that, like, it's gross to wear your shoes in the house.
Yeah,
It really is.
kind of is, yeah.
Because, like, all that shit you're talking, especially, like,
Well, the first thing we're gonna do is we've decided that we are gonna just rock this look all night long, which,
well, not this outfit.
well, not this outfit, but
But
we're
I'm not-
gonna stay in mug
Yes,
and drag.
yes, to give you guys some perspective on when we're filming this exactly, today is the season premiere of season 14 of RuPaul's Drag Race, and we will be at Cobalt Bar, bartending and serving for the night, for the show, as well as for the foursome review.
And we've decided we're already in it, so we're just
Fuck it,
gonna
let's just stay in
stay
it.
in it. So that's what we're gonna do.
I'm here for it.
Well, and on that note, I'm Whitney Stevens.
And I'm Yo-Yo Blackfire.
And this is Unstable.